Good morning, Rabbi Isai. We had a whole sugya about a mesukenes. A mesukenes is an animal that's about to die. Doesn't really have a mum, doesn't have a hole in the heart, a physical thing. It's about to die. And we learned in the Mishnah that you're permitted to shecht it even though it's about to die, provided that it shows some signs of life. At the end of the shechita, we'll see exactly when these signs are. That's exactly what we're discussing. Heichi dami mesukenes. Omer Rav Yehuda Omer Rav. What's the mesukenes? Kol shemamidim oisa ve'eino imedes. When you have it stand up and it can't stand. So remember this one. It's also part of the video. Kol shemamidim oisa ve'eino imedes. You stand it up and it falls back down. It could be very, very strong teeth. It could eat wood. But nevertheless, if you stand it up, it tips over. That's a mesukenes. Even if it could devour beams, its mouth is so strong, but that's not a sign to the weakness, to its lifehood. There's no such word, but it's not. It's about to die. This is a slight variation that it was Rav that said the entire thing in one shot. A mesukenes is that you stand it up and it can't stand. And even if it eats wood, it's in one shot. Even if it eats beams. Says the Gemara, Shmuel, the Talmid of the Rav. Shmuel found the Talmidim of Rav. Now, we all know throughout Shas, Rav and Shmuel always argue. And Shmuel finds the Talmidim of Rav. Omar lahu, so Shmuel tells the Talmidim, Mai Omar Rav b'mesukenes. What exactly did Rav say in this whole sugya of an animal that's about to die? What does it have to do with its feet, with its the hands, the feet? What is it exactly? This is what he said. Goya. If the animal makes a geschmack noise, moo, or vehitila rei, or it relieves itself, goes to the bathroom, or v'kishkish ba'azna, it moves its ear. Harei pirkus. All these three things are a sign of life. In other words, let's go back. What's this pirkus business? Pirkus is a sign that this animal made it through the shechita without dying before the shechita even finished. You have to finish the shechita when it has signs of life, and this is a sign that it was strong enough to withstand the shechita. Not you touched it with a knife. You didn't even start slicing the siman and it died already. That's not a shechita. Amar lahu. So Shmuel tells the Talmidim, Abba lo yizuzei. He called Rav Abba. Abba has to tell me something as extreme as moving an ear. Ear is already, that's not a chiddush. Of course, if it can move its ear, it's like it got up and ran around half a mile. Of course it's alive. I'm talking about things that are hitila rei, goya. It has to be something that's not caused by the death, but rather it's after death. It shows that the animal is strong enough to make movements. It's still semi-alive a moment after the shechita. We're talking about a split moment after the shechita. What kind of thing? I heard this from our Shmuel himself. If his hand was like this and opened it up, the Gemara says, so that's nothing. When it's already bent, just to extend, that's no power. That's automatic by death. It happens. It stretches, you know. If you ever see a person that gets that goes unconscious, somebody punches somebody in the head, they fall down and immediately their feet go like this. It's like a natural thing. But to bend, to go from straight to bend, That shows life. If his hand was bent already, and just to make it straight, that's nothing. That's misa. Pshuta v'kfafa. If the hand was straight, to bend, to curl it up, that's hard. Dvarim she'ena misa. That's proof of life, and that's a good shchita. Says Gemara, Michael Mashmalon. What's the big kiddush? Tanina. Says in our Mishnah, Behema daka shepashta yodav leichzira. The Mishnah says one case. A smaller animal that extended its hand but didn't bring it back, psula, that's not a good shechita. So you see that to go from bent to straight is nothing. It says beforish. So what do you be mechadish? It's in the Mishnah. And you could infer from the Mishnah, it's only because it went from bent to straight, but straight to bent. I know it's a little confusing. Straight to bent is okay. It's a good simon. Says Gemara, okay, I can't learn from the Mishnah. So on the side it says over here, the kaifa is not a step. It already happened. In other words, this is the starting position, says the Gemara. The kaifa, it's already bent. Upashta, straight. Vahada kaifa, it's not three things, it's two things. It went from bent to straight, and from straight to bent. But if from straight to bent, just one motion is not enough to teach me, maybe you have to go straight, bent. You have to do two motions, straight and then bend. But from straight to bend, one motion is not enough. Kamash Malon, that if it was straight and he bent it, that's all you need. One motion, but the hard motion, to bend. That's considered pirkus. Kamash Malon. Meisvei. Rabbi Yossi Yoyma Hoyer Rabbi Meyoymer. Goya b'shash shchita ein ze pirkus. If an animal makes noise while you're shechting it, that's not considered pirkus. If you look at the first word on this Amud, the first word, what does it say? Goya. What is Goya? That's a sign of life. That is pirkus. And over here, Remeir says, making a moo is nothing. Ein ze pirkus. Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yossi Omer Mishmoi, afilu hetila rei, even if it relieved itself, the kishkishab is nova, it wagged its tail, ein ze pirkus, it's nothing. So all these things that we said, the first line of this Amud, Goya hetila rei, kishkishab is ba'azna, biznava, doesn't say azna. Biznava, wagging a tail is not a pirkus. Ask the Gemara, kasha Goya agoya, kasha rei arei. We have a contradiction. Our Gemara tells us that mooing is a pirkus, and over here it says it's not. Goya agoya leikash. It's not even a contradiction. Ha davi kala. Ha davi kala. Yavaldi. That's the pshat in the sugya. That's the whole pshat. Wow, what a day! If it let out a moo like that guy did over there. He's wearing his hat, a geschmack moo, then it shows that he's alive. It's part of death. It makes a little kirechts. Reya rei nami lo kasha. Relieving oneself is not a kasha. Kan bishri say Rabbi say. At kan. No lights on us here, please. No bathroom humor. Kan bishri seses. When any cow that dies is going to relieve itself a little bit, but it just comes out without any pressure. When it comes out with force, that shows that it's alive. So Rabbi say, you don't even need a chart for this, but why not? There was Motzei Shabbos, I made a chart. There's three shitas. There's a tchila shchita, there's a emsa shchita, the soif shchita. You see the three shitas. When did this leg move? All the way even in the beginning of the shchita, or only at the tail end of the shchita, meaning a moment after the shchita was over, or the pirkus, the moving of the leg, happened in the middle of the shchita. Omer Rav is a pirkus amru b'soif shchita, but don't pause there. My b'soif shchita, b'emsa shchita. So Rav Chizda is the opinion that we're talking about in the middle of the shchita. It has to show signs, at least in the middle, and not when. Not like Reb Nachman Bar Yitzchak, it says, even in the beginning of the Shechita. How do I know that Pirkus happens in the middle of the Shechita? The snag, as it says in the Mishnah. It says in our Mishnah that a small animal that extends its hand, it went from bent to extended, and didn't bend. We said that's psula, that's not a good sign. Eimas, when did this happen? If it happened mamish at the end of the shechita, even right after the shechita, a moment after the shechita, what do you want it to just continue living forever, continue moving forever? Obviously, this happened before the end of the shechita. Amalei Rava, who told you, maybe it happened after the shechita was over. If it doesn't do that movement a moment after, then that's already something that a dead animal does. So Mela, it has to be after the shechita, and that will be Shitas Rava. We'll see it soon. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Amar, he says the most kula thing. That's why it's in green. Pirkus Sha'amru b'tchilas shechita. It moved its legs in the beginning of the shechita because according to Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, it's enough if he does it in the beginning, because then he'll show that at the end, all you need is a tiny little bit of life left, and that's enough to make this shechita kosher. So it's not so much about yeshna shechita mitchila vatsoif, rather it's a sign of life. If there's a big pirkus in the beginning of the shechita, so then it had enough all the way at the end of the shechita, even if it was a little amount, small amount. What's my right? This is not Omer Reb Shimon. He brings a serious raya. We had in the Mishnah that if somebody shechs at night, you're not supposed to shech at night. But he shechs at night, and there's no way for him, there's no lights, because we said night, we had the whole sugya. Night means when there's no light. In our days, when there's lights and everything, then night and day is the same exact thing. You shouldn't shech at night when there's no lights. But you shechted a what? What did you shecht? You shechted a mesukenes, not a dangerous animal, an animal who's about to die. You found the walls full of blood. Now, what does the walls mean? Kshera. So this animal is kosher because it showed signs of life. How? Shezinka, because it sprayed the blood with such force that it got the walls dirty. Ukemidas Rebbe Eliezer says that zinka, forceful blood, is a sign of life. And Vamashmuel Kosli Beishchita. Says Rashi, there's two ways to learn this force of blood on the wall. The wall can mean literally force of blood on a wall, but like we learned in the Mishnah, and we go with Shmuel for now, that the wall is referring to the neck of the animal. If you did a shechita, it barely had life in it, so the blood would drip out. But to get the whole area, the whole neck, up and down, right and left, full of blood in all directions, that comes from a forceful spray of blood. This is a better word than spray, but okay. Now he says like this. If you hold, when did the spray happen? You see, the word is it's very geschmack. When it comes to the spraying of the blood and it's at night, it's dark, you don't know when it happened. It could have happened in the beginning of the shechita, it could have happened in the middle of the shechita, it could have happened at the end. If you tell me that the only time it works is at the end of the shechita, there's no way for you to know when it happened. It happened at night. You're coming to inspect in the day and trying to figure out what happened there. Oh, geschmack. The whole neck is full of blood. Okay, but maybe it happened all the way in the beginning of the shechita, and that's not a good raya. Elamai, the beginning of the shechita, is a good raya. That's all. That's his raya. It's a beautiful raya. So Elo Yamers b'soif shechita leichus dumah b'tchila shechita zinka. So if you say that if you say that you have to show a pirkus in the beginning of the shechita, like I'm saying, even in the beginning, so great. So now that you see blood all over the place on its entire neck, so you know. Oh, I was in the middle of saying, and Rashi says that it doesn't mean the wall, because the wall you could see when that happened. If you see the wall high up on the wall, that means it happened in the beginning of the shechita. If you see a splatter on the bottom, like in the middle of the wall, It happened later on in the shechita. There's more force in the beginning. That's what he says. So obviously that's why we go with Shmuel. That's on the neck of the animal. The neck of the animal. There's no indication when it happened, the beginning or the end of the shechita. So Eloi Yamris shechita. If you say that the pirkos, this side happened at the end of the shechita, if you're looking for something that happened at the end, there's no way to say that this happened, that this blood splattered at the end. Maybe it splattered in the beginning. Says the Gemara, okay, that's a great raya, but only a great raya for blood spraying, not for leg movement. Maybe, maybe blood that comes out of the neck, that's a stronger indication. And Memela, that works even in the beginning of the shechita. But the leg movement, maybe that has to be at the end of the shechita. How do you know? Says Gemara Miyadif, is blood stronger and a greater indication? And therefore it could be even in the beginning of the shechita. But nah, dayim zinka. So look at this. It's not the greatest, but I did this in Motzei Shabbos. This is our Mishnah, right? I skipped after Rebbe Lezer. There's a skip, but it says like this. Rebbe Shimon, there's a three-way machlokes. Rebbe Shimon loimer achit the parkas biyad uberegel. The most machmer. You need a hand and a leg. It's not one or the other. It's both. Rebbe Lezer says daya imzinka. It's enough if it sprays blood. So what does it say over here? It's enough. What does enough mean? Daya means enough. I mean, I don't hold like you that you need such an extreme hand and foot, even if it sprays blood. So l'chayra, zinka, spraying blood, is less than the top shita of moving a hand and a foot. Otherwise, you wouldn't say daya. You say, tzarech zinka. No, daya means it's enough. Now, what's the next shita? It's either or, either the foreleg or the hind leg. You see, zinka splattering in the blood is less than the movement of the leg. Says the Gemara, no. You're right. Spraying the blood is less than a double movement, but it's stronger, it's a greater indication than one or the other. Yeah, because the red and the green. The first sheet, Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, is a very machmer. It says two. You need two. Chacham say one. Now the middle sheet is in between. It's exactly in between. It's less of an indication than both, but more of an indication than one. So maybe zinuk, exactly. Maybe zinuk is extreme. It's a greater indication than one movement of one limb. And Memela, how does Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak know that moving one limb could even occur in the beginning of the shechita? Maybe it has to occur at the end of the shechita. You see from blood, springing of the blood could occur in the beginning of the shechita. It was a great raya. That's because it's stronger. It's a stronger indication than moving one limb. Yeah, you're right. It's not stronger than two limbs, but stronger than one limb. Omar Ravino, Omar Lisam bar Chilkai. Akshiba Avuda bar Abuvram. This is the famous, everybody asks kids. Who's Yeshua ben Nun's father? Right? Yeshua ben Nun. So who is the father of Bar Abuvram? The father of the son of Abuvram. Who's the father of the son of Abuvram? Abuvram. The son of Abuvram, that was his name. The son of Abuvram. So the father of the son of Abuvram is Abuvram. So why didn't they call him Abuvram? Actually, Abuvram. Why are you calling him the father of the son of Abuvram? Because nobody knew who he was. He didn't have a name. He was not his claim to fame was his son. His son was called Bar Abuvram. So the father of Bar Abuvram asked the question. Like the Gemara says, Avua the Shmuel. The father of Shmuel. That was his. So Va'amri La Achua the Bar Abuvram. That now it makes sense why there's even a machlokes here. Some people say it's the brother of Bar Avrum, not the father of Bar Avrum, because the father of Bar Avrum should be Abuvram. It's like Nun. Say Nun. Nun asked the question, not Yeshua ben Nun's father. So it says Gemara Umad Rabbanon Miyadif. What? The zinuk is stronger than the last shita. You tell here. Zinok, the middle shita, is stronger than Chachamim shita. It's a stronger indication. But now, ad shitefarkis oy biyad oy beregel. What does ad mean? Ad is a strong lashon. Ad means no. It's not good enough what you're saying, your shita. We want more. We want a greater indication. Ad. Rabban Nahai Kaimu. Who are they referring to? Are they talking to Rabbi Eliezer or are they talking to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel? Rabbi Gamliel, it can't be. The mamish doesn't make any sense. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says you need, the indication is 2. And they should say, no, you don't need 2, even 1. So the word should be even, not make sure it is this. Not ad. Ad means only if. Ad, yeah? You look at me like, ad means only, you need at least this. No, it should say kivon. It's enough this. It's enough 1, you don't need 2. Pshita, enough 1, not 2. Kivan Shapirkasa, as long as it moved 1 limb, that's enough. That's what it should say. Kivan, not ad. Pshita ad the Rebbe Eliezer. So he's referring, Chachamim are referring to Rebbe Eliezer. And they said, no. The spraying the blood is not enough. I need more than spraying the blood. I need it to move a leg. 1 leg. So you see that moving leg is harder for the animal. It's a greater indication. Okay. So Mela, it turns out that Zinuk is the least, and if Zinuk is the least, and you could still do it at night, and then we assume that it sprayed the blood. It must be that it sprayed the blood in the beginning, and Memela, all types of pirkus could also be in the beginning, like Rav Nachman Yitzchak said. Rava Amar, pirkus sha'amru b'sayv shchita. So finally we have the last shita, the most machmer shita. It's not enough to shake a leg in the beginning, in the middle. It has to be all the way at the end. And again, I'm saying this over and over. At the end doesn't mean the end. At the end means right after the end. A second after it finished. How do I know this? The Sanyo. Shari Kesef. The famous pasuk. Shari Kesef v'yeis ki yivoled v'hoy yeshiva siyom tachas imoy. So there's a lot of halachas here that we're learning. Oy Kesef. So we're going to go through these words now. Shari Kesef. Prat Liklein. So if you have a goat that marries a sheep and they have offspring, you cannot bring this as a carbon. This is a pasuk that tells you what not to bring as a carbon. Oyez Prat Lenidma. Givaldik. This is more of a nidma. It means it's really born from a cow, but it looks like a camel, a shtickle. You know, it's like one of these weird-looking animals. You cannot bring this as a carbon, but it's a cow. Father's a cow, mother's a cow. Yeah, it's a cow, but it looks like a camel, so it's an idma. Givaldik. Ki yivoled prat liyoytze doifen. It says it has to be born naturally. So an animal born from cesarean, no good. Again, a cow gives birth, a cow dies, drops dead. Out comes a baby cow naturally. No cesarean needed. Maybe it started the process, but it finished off. Is it a birth or not a birth? Answer, it's not a birth. Not a birth, that's not how cows give birth. It's not a ki yivoled. But the pashup pshat ki yivoled means it has to come out from the womb and not from a side wall. Probably Shivas Yomim, it has to be at least 7 days old. Pratim Chuzizman, any animal less than 7 days old is possible for a carbon. Tachas Imoy, it has to have a mother. Prat Liyosim, this animal has to have a mother. Now, what does it mean have to have a mother? For how long? How long did it have a mother for? The mother gave birth to him. And 5 minutes later it died. What, you want the mother to live forever? When you shecht any animal, it has to have a mother? No way. So what's the shear? In the Gemara, in the Torah, there's a shear of a moment, not days, months. Ella pshita ze perish lemisa. Ella the mesa v'hada yilitei. Obviously, it died and then it gave birth. But that's a problem. Ki yivoled nafka. That would be a problem because it's not in the gather of ki yivoled. Either you took it out cesarean, and if you took it out naturally, it's not a leda. That's not considered giving birth. Ella pshita. It happened simultaneously. The moment it gave birth, it died. If you tell me it needs a slight indication of life after the birth, so now I need a positive to say, even though it lived for a moment after the birth, it's still considered a yasam, and you can't bring this on the mizbeach. But if it's a moment before the end of the birth, what I need a special pasuk to say that you can't have a yasam, it's already included in the isser of not having a natural birth because it was born while the animal's dead. While the animal's dead, it's not a natural birth, so it's already included in kiyavalid. So says the Gemara, Omar Rava, and the Dachrein discusses like, what's the connection? So what do you see? But bottom line, what do we see from here? We see that it has to be a moment after the death. She gave birth while she was alive. She was alive a moment after. Oh, so now our sugi also, it has to kick its foot a moment after the shechita. Like, what's the connection between birth and pirkos? They discuss. Fine, so that's the end of that. So Rava proves his thing that what? We had a three-way machlokes. Is the pirkos in the beginning of the shechita, the middle of the shechita? Says Rava, it's at the end of the shechita. It has to be a moment after. You see this from giving birth. In order not to be a yasam, it has to be that she was alive for a moment after. So too in pirkos. Omar Rava, hilchas ekihad masnisa. The halach is going to be like the brayso. That what? We had this in the Mishnah, which the Gemara is going to ask, but we're doing Chazarah now. A small animal, like a goat, like a sheep, who went from an extension to straight. We said that's a nothing. That's no indication. Didn't bend. Psula. That's not a good indication because every animal does that when they die. Oh, so here's the chiddush. That's only in the foreleg. But the hind leg, if an animal goes from bent to straight with its hind leg, that's perfect. Why? Because it's very difficult for the strong, meaty hind leg to move and even straighten it out. All this is a discussion with a small animal, a large animal. Anything you do with a large animal, everything is a good indication. Any movement of a large animal, a grosse animal, any movement, even from bent to straight, is an indication. And what about a bird? Even if it just moved its wing, or just moved its tail. That's also an indication of life, and that's considered pirkos, and it's kosher. Michael Mashmallah, all this, Kulu Tanini, we learned all this in our Mishnah. That what? It says in our Mishnah. It says one line, and you can learn it all from that one line. It's very meduyik, the Mishnah. Only a small animal, it says, that extended from a bend to straight and didn't go back, psula. So anytime a chacham could take this and learn all the halachas from this. Now what? She'eino letzos nefesh. What do you see from this one line? It says daka, it says yad, and it says going from bend to straight. So I see from here, yad in, all this is indications of the foreleg, not the hind leg. Regular, any movement of the back leg is good. Daka in, it's only talking about what? Oh, it's only talking about a small animal, gasaloy, a large animal. Any indication. So what's the chiddush? What do you tell me from the brayso? Oh, if it's richalei, didn't speak about a bird, about a chicken, about a pigeon. That what? The wing is enough, the tail's enough, the leitnan, and that's the chiddush. That's also considered a pirkos by a bird. Rabboisai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDY.com.